Hi everyone, it's Goblin's Henchman here. I haven't done a video for a little while, so I thought I'd showcase something that I put on Drive-Thru recently. It's a free adventure module called Carapace, and it's centered on the exploration of a giant ant colony. Now, what happened is everyone probably knows now that G Plus is closing, so I thought I'd bring together some of the ideas I had about procedural mapping and procedural adventures and tie it together as a sort of 16-page adventure, including the cover and the back cover. So here we go. We've got an index here which is hyperlinked, so it will jump to the various sections if you click it. Three main parts to the document. There's a bit that gives the setup, the town, and the NPCs. So essentially what this is a adventure where there's a giant ant colony, and there's various reasons to encourage the PCs to go in to explore that ant colony. Then there's three procedural ways of generating the ant colony. The idea being that the ant colony is full of all these weaving tunnels and all these kind of weird interactions of the space that's basically not comprehensible to a non-forming mind. So even if you could map it, it would be so boring for players to do that they wouldn't want to. So the idea is that these are various ways you could generate that, and then various appendices to sort of tie it together in terms of encounters and monster summaries and that kind of stuff. So there's a bit of an overview. Here you go, this is the background. Tells you about the town and its historical link to the hive, which is the ant colony. And then here are the three procedural ways, and then this bit here is some sort of action to get you going straight away, sort of in the modern fashion. And then here are 12 NPCs that have links to the colony that the players might want to engage with. So there are different kind of motivations there. So here's the first procedural way. It's a point crawl using this template. The idea is you've got 4 different zones in the ant colony, and with the sort of queen in this in the final chamber, and ways to link it up using the rules down this side here. So here you go. These are sort of examples of the colonies you might, for example, create. It's pretty straightforward. You just follow the rules. The second one's a bit more interesting and arguably simpler and more complicated at the same time. It uses something called the Labyrinth move developed by Jason Cordova for Dungeon World. The idea is it's a bit like combat in AD&D. You don't say I parry, I thrust, I try to nick his leg. You roll 1d20, and that represents a whole range of action, and you either hit or you miss. You don't micromanage that 1 minute of combat. And this is the same thing. The idea is you explore for say 10 minutes, and then you determine by rolling and summing 2d10 in this case whether you had an encounter and whether you progressed here in the zones. And the idea is you're trying to get from zone 0, the outside, to zone 4, where the queen is. And this is a statistical weighting probability which takes care of making it interesting. This is something I've been working on recently, which I think is really quite interesting. At least I think it's interesting. It's using a hex flower as a little engine to generate encounters, and I probably should do a video on this. And the idea is that you roll 2d6, which gives you a weighted probability, and that means that, for example, if you rolled a 12, and you're starting here, you would go to this square, and so on and so forth. And the nice thing about this is if you come off, say, an edge, this would send you pretty much off into the opposite side. And this has a little chase mechanic built into it, where the alert system of the hive is trying to capture you, but you have points of insight, reconnaissance and clue, which you can use to tweak the result of your roll or the pursuit roll. Anyway, I probably should do another video about that. And then here's some random encounter tables. This is a weighted system to determine which monster you get. So the idea is that this is kind of, I suppose, an advantage-disadvantage mechanic, which then means whether or not you get the queen or something else, and it's much more likely you get a queen in the latter zones. This is some dungeon dressing. Excuse me. Some dungeon dressing just to liven it up, sort of like smells and tastes and all sorts of weird things that you get in there. Some stat blocks for the monsters. Here's the outside of the hive with some sort of terrain and whatnot. And then finally some little bit of artwork. So that's it. Take a peek on Drive-Thru. It's free. Give me a rating, and hopefully you find